Hello. Today I'm going to talk about animals, wild animals that can be seen here in Colorado. So we have lots of really awesome animals, and some of them come to my house. So I'm always excited to talk about these beautiful, beautiful animals. So first I have woodland animals. These are animals you find in the woods where there's trees, tall trees usually in mountains. And then another group of animals are on the prairie. So let's go to the first. Um, oh dear. Okay, so this is an example of a wooded area or woodland or forest. So there's lots of trees. So one of the animals that Colorado's kind of famous for is wild horses. So this is a wild horse, and this is a group of horses. You can see in the picture that there's mountains here in the background. This is Colorado. This is southern Colorado, and they're kind of out in the plains, but they do go up into the mountains as well. And here is a picture of a herd of wild horses. You see how many there are. There's hundreds of them. They all kind of hang together, and you can tell they're wild because their manes are just kind of mangy. Um, but sometimes they collect the horses and then they tame them and sell them. But there's a lot of wild horses in Colorado. Um, this is a wolf. So this is called a gray wolf, and this is a black wolf, but they're still wolves. Actually, there's not too many wolves in Colorado, but these are woodland animals. And here's a picture of some wolf pups. And they're white because it's winter. Now, this is an elk. Here in Colorado, we have an area called Rocky Mountain National Park where they just walk around the streets and everything, hundreds of them. So an elk has no white on this part of its head. It has kind of a dark hair on the neck, and it has very long antlers. So this is how you can tell the difference between an elk or deer. Here is a deer. Now this is a male deer or a boy because it has antlers. You see these antlers kind of go up. On the elk, they go down or kind of in the back, but deer antlers go straight up, and this is called a mule deer because his ears are kind of big, like a mule, and you see all the white on his face. He's a whitetail male mule deer, and this is a female, and you know that because there's no antlers. But see these big ears? Yeah, we have lots of deer. That walk around our yard and up and down the streets. They're not afraid of people. And this is a baby deer or a fawn. Fawn. And you know that by the size, but also it has white spots. It only has white spots for a little while when it's young. Now this is a mountain goat. So it has smaller horns and kind of a beard down here. And it walks on the rocks, way high up on the rocks. We were driving a few weeks ago, and we looked up on the rocks of the mountain we were driving through, and there was 3 goats. You can see them. They're very shy, but they're around, and pretty common that you can see some mountain goats. Now this is a sheep. So it's a sheep like any other sheep, but it has big horns. So it's called a bighorn sheep. And they're actually kind of small animals. They're like the size of a regular sheep. And a month or so ago, we were driving by a river, and then the mountain went right up next to the river. And there was a whole group, probably 30 of these bighorn sheep just laying in the grass. Sunning themselves. So there's different kinds of bear. There's grizzly bears. So this is a brown bear, also called a grizzly bear. It's kind of a cinnamon color, brown, light brown, and they're big. They're much bigger and they're more fierce. In other words, you need to stay away from them. Then there's black bears. And this bear is mother bear. This is right across from my house. I'm standing on my porch taking this picture of this mother bear. She was out there for about 2 hours. So here's another picture of this mother bear, and she had 2 baby bear or cubs over, and they were laying down. They were out there for a couple of hours. Then later on that evening, they came and went under our deck. But they didn't do any damage. They're just beautiful animals. And this is a raccoon. You can see raccoon probably everywhere. Don't leave your trash out or they'll come in. Come in and take it and make a mess. But raccoons are woodland animals. This is a moose, and you can tell because of the flat part of the antler here. This is a male moose. The female don't have antlers. These antlers do fall off and then they grow again each year. And they like water. So this is kind of a marshy area it's in. And just down the hill from us, people report they see moose every year come down to the stream. There's a stream, and then it's mostly just mountains around here, but they come down for the water. They're beautiful. Now the next 2 animals are kind of hard to tell apart. This one's called a lynx, and it's like a smaller or medium sized dog, but it's a cat. And the other one is a bobcat. So they're both about the same size. They're bigger than a regular cat, much bigger, and they'll eat your cats if you leave them outside. So a lynx and a bobcat are pretty common. They only come out at night. They're very shy. They won't attack you, but they will attack some of your animals if they're nearby. Now, this is a cougar, sometimes called a cougar, or mountain lion. And these are fierce. These are bigger than a dog. They are about the size of a smaller bear. And they are ferocious. And they hide up in the tree and then they jump down on their prey. And they have attacked people here in Colorado who are out jogging by themselves. So you want to be on the lookout for cougars. But they're beautiful, beautiful animals. This is a bald eagle, and you can find these out on the plains too, but they nest at the top, very, very top of a evergreen tree. So that's why I put them in the woodlands animals, because you usually find them where there's lots of tall trees. That's where they make their big, big nests, and they'll keep that same nest for many, many years. Okay, now moving on to prairie or grassland. So here you see the prairie is the grassy area, flat, and there's a few mountains here or little hills, but this is the prairie. So the jackrabbit, very common in any kind of grassland. And so they're everywhere, but they're different than a rabbit that you might see as a pet. They have really long, long ears, and they're kind of skinny, thin, and they can jump a long, long way. but these are very common. This one is called a hawk, and this one's called a prairie hawk because he or she lives in grassland areas and picks up small animals like mice or prairie dogs, other kind of small animals, snakes, things like that. It's a prairie hawk. Now this is a bison, also called an American bison, or commonly called a buffalo. Buffalo is really just a word that Americans call them, but the real name is supposed to be bison. And there used to be thousands and thousands of them in the West, in America, but people shot them and the Indians used them for their hides. They made their tents out of them. But now there's a few herds. We have several herds here in Colorado. I see them whenever we go driving. I'll see a herd off to the side here or there. So we still have bison, but not nearly as many as we used to. But they're beautiful animals. This is another animal you see all the time if you go driving. You see how this is flat and grassy here? This is where they are. They're always out in the grassy fields. This is called a pronghorn. You see the horn here kind of has a little prong. Pronghorn antelope. So it's an antelope. So it's smaller than a deer and probably faster than a deer too. They're really fast. And here is a group of them running. And these are females because there's no antlers on them. And here is a red fox. Now we have a red fox that lives somewhere on our street because early in the morning you'll see him just cross the street right in front of our yard and go down the road. And one time I saw him go in the little tunnel at the end of our road. I don't know where he lives, but he's around here somewhere. We have a lot of trees around here, so there's lots of places for him to hide. Now this is a duck, but this particular kind of a duck is called a mallard duck, because he has a green head, a white ring, brown chest, and kind of a gray body. Here he is, beautiful green head, white ring, and a brown chest. It's a mallard, and he is a male because we know that because he's so beautiful and has many colors. Here's a female mallard. She is brown because she needs to hide in the bushes by the lake to sit on her nest. So she doesn't have very many bright colors, but they're very common. Any lake you go to, you'll see mallards. And this is Canada geese, and these are everywhere. They love any lake. When we go out into eastern Colorado where there's lots of plains, you'll just see hundreds of them flying, and they always fly in a big V shape. And they're very majestic animals, very beautiful. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning and see if you can name with me the animals. So these are the woodland animals. This is a wild horse and wild horses. This is a herd of wild horses. Herd of wild horses. Wolf. Wolf pups. Elk. Male mule deer. Male mule deer. Female mule deer. Fawn or baby deer. mountain goat, bighorn sheep, brown bear or grizzly bear, black bear. This is the mother black bear and the two cubs. Raccoon, moose, lynx, bobcat, cougar, mountain lion, bald eagle. Now these are the prairie or grassland animals. Jackrabbit, prairie hawk, bison or buffalo, pronghorn, antelope, pronghorn, antelope, red fox, mallard duck. It's a male. Mallard duck, female. Canada geese. And that's all.